Okay, we've been giggling. We're in the zone. Denise, I'm so excited to be sharing this space across the world. Literally, I'm in evening Texas time and you're in the morning over there. So thank you for carving out time on Playdate Day to visit with me and our buddy watching.
Yes, I actually sent my nanny to playgroup this morning, which of course I'm like not that disappointed in
Right.
sometimes.
They're gonna
You're
have
like,
great.
oh, you take them to playgroup. But then my punishment is then every Thursday we have lunch at Mega Mania, which is one of those kids' playground things that has just like balls everywhere and like chicken nuggets all over the floor and germs galore. So that's what I'll be doing after this call. So thanks for having me. You know, I love chatting with you and your beautiful community.
I'm really excited that of all the places that we get to meet in real life, it's like the most magical Necker Island. I'm really looking forward to that. So in the meantime,
Me too.
I'm really excited to have this conversation with you because I've actually been binging on your Facebook Lives of late where you're talking about what everybody's talking about. So we've had a few previous conversations. So to you listening or watching, Denise and I, once upon a time, a couple summers ago, had a great chat about 7 crucial money mindset shifts. So I'll link to that so that you can see that as well. And then we had our own Naptime Empires podcast episode where we talked more about the family stuff. And today I just want to talk more about the winds of change, as you're calling it, because it really is. It's just something that I call it biz puberty. So it's a little different vibe of my own, like ever since having Deacon, where things have just been shifting for me. And I'm like, what do I really want to do? Like, I could do this, but is that what I really want to do and how I really want to serve? And I know my power, or at least even a fraction of it. Like I know what I'm capable of. So I want to make sure I'm putting that towards something good. And I love watching how you're just slightly pivoting the conversation. It's not much different than what it always has been around specifically women entrepreneurs and money and mindset and all that jazz. But I'm just loving watching this conversation evolve. And so I would love to just kick off and kind of ask you, like, what are you most excited about when it comes to your work, not just your business, but like your mission right now?
Wow. First of all, I want to say, like, this all hit for me in January, but I really thought that I was the only one going through it because everyone else seemed like they were just fine. You know, it's like, oh yeah. And so it's funny now that I'm talking about it because I'm kind of on the outside of it a little bit, like on the upswing. And then people are saying, oh, I'm going through this as well. And I'm like, why aren't we all talking about this? You know, if we're all freaking out, we've all got the opportunity to create something different. So I think where the big thing for me was I was thinking, yeah, I do have this big mission, but I'm not sure if I'm ready or willing to do what I think it needs to take. And I think a lot of people are kind of in that space as well of going, I want to serve, I want a bigger business, I want to make more money, but I want to contribute. But I'm freaking tired, or I'm just not ready for that level of work or commitment or visibility that I think it's going to take. Actually, what I think that I'm really excited about is that we've got an opportunity to really have a new paradigm around having a big mission, but yet not necessarily having to live a big, extroverted or crazy life. And I do think that's possible. And I'm still working it out in myself because I sometimes freak out about it too, you know, and I'm like, oh, I want to serve many more people, but I kind of just want to like go to the beach every day and like spend more time with my kids and like have enough energy to like, you know, have some adult time with my husband at the end of the day, if you know what I mean. Instead of feeling like my whole life is in service to that mission. So I'm excited about like trying to explore creating richness in all areas of my life, not just my work life. And that's tricky for me, and probably tricky for a lot of people because we don't know how that's going to look. We don't know what that looks like practically. And I think for me, I've got this like little niggling guilt that I have to like really give my all for it to count, and that I can't have both. And that's what I'm working on myself.
That's so good. And exactly that, what you said about richness in all areas, because this is something I recently played with the idea of hosting a mastermindy experience called the Trimester of Awesome. And I was like, at the end of the day, it's really about those of us family-focused women entrepreneurs. That's my long way of saying mompreneurs. I'm like, how many primary caregiver-preneur? But family-focused women entrepreneurs who want to build their businesses, empires, but again, that's relative, without becoming asexual, antisocial workaholics.
Oh, that could be the name of my next book.
Everyone I say that to just laughs about it because she's like, me too. You know, it's like, it's so easy for us, especially recently going through your money archetypes thing too. I'm also part ruler, and it's like, it's easy to default into work mode. We hide out in it. It's fun. It's like, it's more predictable or whatever. Like there's something that once you find it and you hit that groove and you get safe in it, and then you like forget to pee or to eat lunch or to have that sexy time with your husband if he's actually home. Like mine was gone legit for most of the last 4 years. So it's like, you know, whatever, asexual just came with the military spouse job. But forgetting like all of those other parts of you, neglecting all those other parts of you. And that's one of the things I've been thinking about also while I've been in Denise mode, is just like all the subtle shifts and upgrades that I've made for myself of like, this is my new status quo. You know what I mean? Like, for example, we were just talking about how I just moved into this house. And I remember when we saw it, we loved it. The backyard is absolutely amazing. But the inside wasn't quite our style. And I was about to settle. I was about like, yeah, okay, we'll get a couple rugs and we'll make it work. Like the tile was just not our style at all, and different color woods and whatever. And then I remember the day my husband was like, but I want to change the floor. And I raged. I was like, pissed. I was so like, I could feel myself flare. And I was like, why did I just get so upset? I got so upset because I don't like it either. And I want to change it too. And now he just called me out because I was willing to settle for less than what I wanted. And I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine who's also in that, again, Denise left VE kind of mindset. And she's like, you have permission to want what you want, you know, and to have things the way that you want them. And it's an energetic statement to be like, yeah, I do get to have things the way that I want them. So I would love to also just throw back to the classics and ask you, what are some of those big common things that you see? Like when you meet people who they haven't been in this world yet. Because I remember once upon a time not even knowing what's a money block. Like I had only ever heard of like writer's block. And so money block, I was like, what is that? You know, what are those common, like the biggest heavy hitting kind of shifts that you see potential for people to make once they kind of come into your world to learn more about money mindset as a thing?
Yeah. I mean, that's a big question, but I just want to say one thing. I did a similar thing to the floors, but I actually bought a whole house that I didn't want. And yeah, it was really tricky because I was pregnant. I was very heavily pregnant, and we bought this house, and I think I just wanted the security of knowing. And it was a house that we were actually going to tear down anyway, but we had to go live in an Airbnb for a couple of weeks between houses, and it was right next to the beach. And I remember we got up every morning walking along the beach, and I just had this like ache in my heart going, but this is where I want to live. And I said to myself, I was like, oh, just go live in that other house for like 10 years and then you can come back. And then finally I woke up one morning and said, Mark, we made a mistake. I'm really sorry. We're going to have to sell that house. We owned that house for 6 weeks and we had to sell it. So I totally get it. But I think that's it is the big thing that's happening for a lot of us at the moment, is that we, as women, we really don't feel like we've got the choice to have it the way we want it. And we don't believe that we can have the choice. And money blocks come up in so many different ways for so many of us. For some of us at the start of our journey, it comes of not even be able to receive any, like a penny for what we do. And so those are the women who are still stuck in jobs that they hate, or they're stay-at-home mums who are frustrated because they want to earn some money for themselves, but they can't. Then you've got the people who are kind of in the little early stages. Maybe they've got a part-time job, or maybe they're being supported by their husband to start their business, but their husband's like, when are you going to start making some money? When is this going to happen? And you feel blocked, you feel scared. But then it also happens at every stage of business where you feel, oh my God, this is the most amount I'm ever going to be able to earn. I'm never going to be able to earn more than this. Or you start to blame it, oh, well, it's the economy, it's this, it's that. Oh, my clients don't want to pay. It's my industry. You start looking outside yourself. And for all of those scenarios, usually the answer is you've got to work on your mindset. You've got to work on your belief that it's possible. You've got to be surrounded by women who are doing what you want to do. That's crucial. And you have to be willing to do the work of uncovering those beliefs that are holding you back. And I met this woman recently who was an interior designer. I hired her house to use as a set. And I remember saying to her, I was like, can you come to my town and do my house? And she goes, oh, I don't do this anymore professionally. And she's got 4 kids and a dog, right? And she lives in this beautiful house. And I could see that just the part of her soul was just so unfulfilled by that. She wanted something for herself. And she said to me, but no one will pay for it. And I'm like, honey, they will. But I was not there as her coach, right? But I see that in women, that they're just a little piece of them is dying because they think, well, that's for other people. It's not for me. It's the economy. No one will pay for what I want to do, or my job doesn't exist, or no, whatever it is. And it kills me. It kills me. And I was just like, oh, how much do I want to say to this woman?
When I'm recording inside your house, it's like you left some cooties behind.
I hope I did. I might even send her the videos and just say, look, this is what I created in your house. And I would love for you to see this, because I want you to believe that it's possible for you as well. And you mentioned just before too, it's all relative. Not everyone wants to have $1 million business, or not everyone wants to have $1 million business now. I think some of us I sometimes get really frustrated that I can't write a book a month like I see some people do, and go to all these conferences and speak at all these places. But I remind myself, it's just the season of my life at the moment. And it's okay to feel like I'm making progress, but I'm choosing where I want my business to be at the moment. I'm deliberately, consciously choosing. For some people, it's deliberately, consciously choosing to have a smaller business right now. But the word there is choice. We've got to feel like we can consciously choose it.
Yes. And that has been a huge, I just did a Facebook Live yesterday where I was talking about that, just the choices, because I knew as soon as I started having all those Naptime Empire conversations that I was going to hear patterns and things that would pop out that would be these are the same things we're talking about, which a lot was getting support, self-compassion, and just owning the choices that we have. Because it's okay, because some people are single momming with 5 kids and homeschooling and have $1 million businesses. And then some people have all the setup in the world and they can't make their first $1,000 or whatever. But it's all about the choice of what do you actually want to create. And we all have those choices. And yes, there will be trade-offs. And I know, again, I feel like we're on parallel waves right now of it's okay. You can have it all in the way that you want it if you're willing to make the choices that will lead you down that path. It's okay. So certain things, there is a cost and a benefit to every single choice we make. So it's
absolutely
a series of choices to get there. And I love that. And I'm thankful that you brought up the whole season thing. So can you explain a little bit more about that? Because I know that I saw someone else sharing about that in one of your Lucky Bee groups, but it was just an aha about how you were okay, so in this, again, I would call it the Naptime Empire season of life, when you're growing small humans and supporting their development, and they require a bit more attention right now. Can you explain a little bit more about that, and what in your mind, at least for now, obviously flexibly it can change, but kind of how you see that playing out?
Yeah, it's the ultimate FOMO though, isn't it? Right? You're like, oh, I want to go to that conference and I want to do this and I want to do that. So a couple of months ago, so my hubby works in my business, for those of you who don't know, and I decided to get him a business coach, an internet marketing business coach, because I realized that I couldn't tell him all this stuff, but maybe someone else, a third party, could. But then they started cooking up this idea, because the business coach said, you've got all these women in your boot camp, what's next for them? And they started cooking up a plan to pitch me on doing a high-level mastermind for my peeps. And I said to them straight away, I said, not going to happen. It's not my zone of genius right now. I don't have the bandwidth right now. And they said, let us go away and come up with a proposal for you. And so they went away and they came up with a proposal how it would work. And I said, no, it's not my time of life to create something like this. And Mark said, what amount of money would be worth it for you? So we started throwing around figures. We could charge this, we could charge this, we could charge this. And honestly, I sat there and just went, no, no, no. And I was really sitting with it. And I thought, no amount of money is worth at the moment doing something that's so against my zone of genius and so out of the season of my life of being a mum of young kids. I do not have the bandwidth to support people in that way, even though it's a great opportunity, even though I could probably make $1 million out of it very easily. It's not worth doing it because I'm in the season of young kids. And so I think the other thing that helps me is I look forward to people like Louise Hay, right, who's in her 80s, has had a very long career. And granted, she hasn't had children, but I think, why am I so rushed? Like, this part is going to go so quick. So people tell me.
Right?
Yes, they tell me it's going to go quick. But I think, yeah, it is a finite little bit. And yet I'm trying to pressure myself to jam everything into this small little window. I'm pressuring myself to speak all the speeches of my career right now, to create all the programs I'm ever going to create right now, to write all the books of my career right now. And I'm just trying to give myself a bit of a break and go, you know what, I've got time for that. And it's hard to say no. It's like we're doing a tour to the States in October, and people are like, why don't you come to Canada? Why don't you come here? Why don't you come here? And I'm saying to them, I will. Give me 5 years, you know, and it's like, they're like, but I want you to come now. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't.
Yeah.
But in 5 years' time, I totally can. And it'll be great. So I think that's just it's self-compassion and also just like, honey, you got time.
Right.
There's time.
It's balancing the whole, like, the FOMO with the YOLO, you know, where it's like, okay, right, every day is precious and no day is guaranteed, but at the same time, living like that can be really exhausting because you, like you said, like, you got to play the long game. And I think that I can, like, hear the release valves as people are listening to and watching this, to just really think about your life in decades and kind of the flavor and the theme and the feel, you know, God willing, that we live to be 100. Like Breston's getting his 6-year molars. I'm like, you're going to have those teeth till you're like 100 plus. So you got to take really good care of them, you know? So thinking the long game and then doing what you can do in each day as it comes, you know, in a way that feels really good for you. But yeah, just like making those choices in a way that actually, it's the thing that I realized, basically, because I burned myself out in the workaholic mode, and even antisocial, I would say, because I was in Hawaii in the middle of the ocean and my husband was deployed, and I convinced myself I was more of an introvert than I really am. And then I started going out to different events that would coincide with our trips back to Texas. And I was like, oh, right, I actually do enjoy being around people. Like, I forgot that part of myself, you know? So it is about kind of bumping out of your comfort zone a little bit to kind of remember who you actually are. And I talk about that a lot too. It's like she who wears the hats. So not just business you, and not just wife or partner you, and not just mom you, but like, who is you? Who are you? And really, like, remembering that and getting to know her better, because that's what I'm excited about right now. And I know you've been doing all kinds of your own explorations in this year of, like, figuring out what energizes you and letting that lead the way. So I'm curious just to know more about, I didn't watch that live yet, but it came through my newsfeed where you were saying habits that are working for you right now. So I'm also just curious, what's the Cliff's Notes version of that? And what are those habits that you're doing to keep your energy up while you're in this stage?
So they're really basic, you know, like they're super, super basic. People have been telling me to meditate for years, and I'm like, yeah, that's totally a great idea. And I hadn't for a long time. And now I would say every other day, just a couple of minutes, 3 minutes, you know, like I saw someone in that feed say, yeah, I do 2 hours a day. And I'm like, okay, that's not me. I can do 3 minutes. That's all I can commit to.
Yeah.
Something like that, just taking that moment, realizing yesterday I had 6 interviews. And at the end of that, I was like, oh, I'm going to go sit and eat my lunch in the sun. and leave my office, you know, breathe some different air for once. I've got, and it's funny you were saying about the lunch, right? Like I've got my breakfast here. I haven't eaten my breakfast yet. But I have someone to make me breakfast now, by the way. But just the habit of eating it, like carving out a lunch break in my day, because I honestly was such a workaholic and I wouldn't eat until 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I'd have dinner at 6 or 7. And I was just, you know, my lunch would be a can of tuna, you know, like literally out of the tin. So it's nothing groundbreaking, but I think it's just taking those little moments. And I'm terrible at self-care in so many ways, but I'm trying just little ones at a time. And I can't say that any one particular one I'm like, oh, that's the thing that changes it, because it's the little things.
Yeah.
You know, it's the little things.
To yourself.
It is. And I've even gone on holidays this year. At the start of the year, Mark and I sat down and I said, we are workaholics. Like, this is just not good. So we planned out holidays to take for the year, not only together, but ones apart. So I planned in a goddess retreat, a mama retreat, a mama and daughter retreat, just like a night away. We planned those in. And the first couple of ones we did, we were terrible at. Like, we went camping and it was 3 o'clock in the morning and George woke up, and then Mark checked his phone and realized that something was like an error in one of the emails. So he pulled out his laptop and he, you know, was connecting with 4G. And so that was like the first couple of attempts, right? But then 2 weeks ago we went on a holiday, and I think I did one call while I was there, but I did it and finished. He had to do a little bit of work, and I was like, oh, we're actually becoming better at being humans. And we had to practice it. We're still terrible at, like, with the October trip that we're coming to the States, we're doing 4 events in 4 different cities. That started with me just going to NECA to see you and Richard Branson. And it was like, oh, I'm going to NECA. How about you come over? You can hang in Miami with the kids. And then I was like, well, we may as well do an event in Miami. Oh, well, we're going via Dallas. We may as well do an event in Dallas. Well, we can't go to the States and not do one in New York. Okay, we'll do an event in New York. Oh, but we have to fly home via LA. Let's do an event. So instead of me just coming over to be 5 days with Richard Branson, it's turned into this month-long tour because we cannot help ourselves. And we killed Chicago. I'm really sorry for everyone in Chicago. But we managed to take out one city. But that's just like, it's really hard to overcome some of your natural tendencies to overwork or to overcomplicate things. And, you know, one of my idols at the moment in business is my friend Marissa. She's got a business called Beautifully Organized. She works 10 hours a week. She makes enough money to do the things that she wants to do right now, which is to pay her mortgage, have some fun. And then she said, you know what, if I wanted to go on a holiday, then I'll do a sale of something. She does no one-to-ones anymore. She's got the simplest business model. And people think I've got a simple business model, but I still overwork and I still, you know, get myself in a tizzy sometimes. I'm like, oh, she's really doing it simple and beautiful, which is what she teaches as well. So the whole thing about that whole thing I just said is simplify if you can, but don't beat yourself up about it if you're not perfect with it.
Right. Tap and forgive. Yeah, no, that's the same. Like, I literally have a list over here of things that I can do to get my own energy up. And I was reading it in this interview the other day, and I was like, taking my vitamins, like, actually, you know, because I was really bad about taking them after Deacon was born. So taking my vitamins, fresh air, the breeze, actually getting more sleep. Like, it really sounds so basic and so silly, but again, people like you and me, and likely you watching and listening, who tend to slip into work mode, like it's all about the creation and all about whatever the next thing is. It's like just that simple mindful attention, like pattern interrupt, basically, where it's like you were saying, going out and having your lunch in the sunshine. It's just that little moment of mindfulness that can really make a big difference. And then the more you do that, it adds up, and then you talk about it with your friends, and then you get other ideas. And this is another thing that I'm glad that you're doing by sharing your story and by sharing what works for you, which you've always done before, during, and after kids and everything, because I do feel like it's important that we have a potluck of ideas to choose from. Like, this is what works for Denise, this is what works for Nikki, this is what works for so-and-so. And then that way we can be like, okay. So let's let's circle back to the money bootcamp piece that I'm really excited. So this is, I'll keep this video up, forevermore so that people can benefit from this conversation. And there will always be all kinds of good free trainings and links and everything, hooked up below. But in the meantime, let's talk about like what is going on right now with the money bootcamp and like this new workshop that you have. And again, just the energy. I just think it's cool to see how you're 2017ing the message,
Yes. So this is the fourth version of Money Bootcamp, the fourth major overhaul. And you know what? The content is very, very similar. But I find that we do need to tweak it every now and again because things shift and change. Like when we first did it in 2012, the world was very different in 2012 to 2017. So actually one of my big crises of confidence at the start of the year was, I don't think my work is relevant at the moment. It felt superficial to talk about money. It felt icky to talk about helping people get rich when there's just so much crap going on at the moment and so much inequality. And I really struggled with it. And I could see I was pulling myself back, and people can join bootcamp at any time for sure. And they were, but I could see that I was kind of thinking, this isn't really where I want to be teaching at the moment. Or it doesn't feel like I should even use my voice right now. And then just the last couple of months, realizing that purchase power changes the world and women need to have more money to really shape the things that we want to shape, because you see all these conversations going on or organizations that are run by men. I'm not saying that men are bad, but they have their own way of doing things and their own agenda. I think women, we have a compassion agenda at the core of everything that we do. We want other people's children to be okay. We don't just want our own children to have the latest gadgets. And that's not why we want money. We want money because we want to help shape the world, and we want the world to be a better place for other women and other mothers, not just our own families. So for me, I really realized that this money mindset work, it's not just I knew it was never about buying shoes or buying a car. But I just got it in a deeper way recently. And so I've refreshed my passion for helping women make more money, because I feel like the world needs us to do that. And I feel like the world needs women to step up and spend our money in ways that are important to us. I know for myself, I spend money hiring other women. And I buy stuff from other women, and I donate money to charity. And so it's like, yeah, all my other girlfriends that I know do the same thing too when they have money. And yeah, so that's for me the big passion and why behind Money Bootcamp. And realizing too, I was like, oh, I don't have the answer. I don't have to be the guru, but what I do has real value, and I know it helps people, and I know it has ripple effects throughout communities. So that's why I'm like super passionate about it again. And it's great.
Okay, I'm pulling up my phone now, because yesterday or a couple of days ago, I posted, when you did that post about your 37 lessons from a self-made millionaire, and number 34, the first time I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so good. And I remember when I posted it the first time, and I just pulled out this one nugget, which was number 34 of 37. And you said, I'm a contributor, not a guru. As soon as I gave myself permission to contribute to the conversation of women and money and not have to be a guru or expert, then my business became fun. If you really care about a topic, be a contributor. Who cares if you don't know everything? You don't have to be the best to make a difference to someone. Drop the mic.
Yeah.
It's so freaking good, Denise. It was like divine from your fingertips, because I literally, there's like 87 likes. I haven't really been posting that many things on my Facebook page. There's 87 likes, and then all the, yes, this shift is great. This makes a huge shift. Love this. Love the concept. Totally agree. Thanks for sharing. So liberating. Couldn't love this idea more. Like, it's so powerful, just that one nugget. And then to me, it's just beautiful to witness this again, just like a reinvigoration. And it's like you've found a way to breathe new life into yourself, into your business, into your family, into everything with this reframe. And it also just really touches me because I've felt the same way in a lot of ways with A Course About Copy. Because I'm like, oh, people are just writing their websites for their businesses, like, okay, more client. But it's like, no, it really is about confidence in using your voice. So when you said that and you're like, so it felt like my voice didn't matter, I'm just like all, shivery, because I'm like, yeah, it so does, for that exact reason, about the contributor, about like, we just all, hello humans, we're all here together. Like, we literally, no one deserves to be heard more or less than anyone else. And so it's up to us to choose ourselves, to share our messages, to use the powers that we can at our disposal. And I love how you also say that money is a magnifier. So people who are afraid of like, I don't want to be rich because, and then you have this particular story in your head about what that looks like. It's like, no, it's just going to amplify who you already are. Which goes then to say, like, you already have enough, whether it's not necessarily even money, but time or resources. Like, we can always have something to give, So I love all of that.
Yes. Something I've been saying recently, which I totally believe, is money is just a tool. It's a neutral tool, and it can do really good in the world, but it requires good people to have money to do good in the world. And it's like, yeah, I can see all my, sisters and friends and community. I'm like, yeah, I want you guys to have more money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, the guys in power, they're always going to have money. Money's not going away. It doesn't have to be redistributed because we're creating our own economies. Mm. And I've seen people criticize this of like, oh, this, female online space, it's just a giant pyramid scheme of each of them, giving each other money. And it's like, no, we've created a new economy from scratch. Mm-hmm. And that money is real. Yeah. That money is real. The transformation we're giving to our communities is real. And like, it's from nothing. Yeah. It's from our ideas in our head and our spare piece of energy that some of us have while raising kids. That counts. It's real. Yes. And yeah, it's pretty cool what we're doing.
That's funny because I've said that the exact same way, where I'm like, okay, well, it's just this, or like whenever I crossed over not in a year yet, but like whenever I crossed over my business has generated over $1 million. And I was like, that is freaking cool. Like, it's really cool that did not exist. And then because I chose to step up and use my voice and serve, and also just connect with people, so then I can connect them and introduce them to my biz buddies and mentors like you. Like, that is so cool. And I literally felt like it's like everybody has a money tree in their own backyard. It's just people don't realize it. This is amazing. So the more we can tell people about it, yeah, it is really cool. Also, just
and you go. I was going to say, you have created that $1 million from scratch, from your energy. It probably didn't require you to have an office and stock and all that kind of stuff. We've created it from our creativity. And I'm guessing, I don't know, but I'm guessing you didn't spend all of that $1 million on buying like a gold-plated Ferrari. Right. I'm guessing that has gone to creating ripple effects. I'm sure you've hired other women and bought things from other women and created abundance in your communities. So that $1 million is more valuable coming from women than it would be an extra $1 million from some people who should not be named on these podcasts. Right. Like, yeah, that's amazing. Right. And not everyone listens.
If a woman wants a gold-plated Ferrari, then that's cool too. And men
go at it
and make an impact too. But yeah, no, I totally know what you're saying. And what I was putting a mental pin in over here that you were saying is about it counts and it's real. That is my big thing that I'm going to be working on and debriefing with my fellow money boot campers during this live run, because for years, because I didn't start my business thinking I want to make X amount of dollars. I truly felt inspired to share my gift in a bigger way. Then I was like, is it a blog or a book or a business? And then I picked business. Then I made 21 G's in the first 6 weeks. And I thought, what the F just happened? I didn't even know this was possible or whatever. And then I put all these expectations on myself. And I always said my money didn't count. I said it was monopoly money. Like, I literally used those words when I was describing it to people. I'd be like, well, we live off of what Jeremy makes and we save still then. And then we save everything that I make. And then I'm like, okay, this was a big realization when I was going through it again, I guess live, probably last year during the live run. And I was like, holy crap, I didn't realize I was actually saying my money doesn't count. My money doesn't count. That's freaking powerful. And so it's no surprise that I started throwing in every self-sabotage I could find when it came time to put up or hush up, and he was getting out of active duty, and it was going to be me as the primary sole breadwinner for a while, like, so that's what I'm uncovering now, is like really realizing that it is real. It was real. It is real. It can be real at any time that I just decide. And that's something that is super powerful. So, and we're kind of skipping around because I want to go back to the money bootcamp thing, but I would like to just address, again, this is a Naptime Empires conversation where you guys were both working, and we had this. So again, I'll link to the podcast episode where we talked about it in a little more detail. But to you stepping into this role as the, like, Mark's working with you now, but just the shift in the dynamic, and now that you're further along the track, even than when we had the conversation originally, like, how's that going in the dynamic at home,
Yeah. I can't remember what stage we're at when we chatted last. Was it just happening?
I think he had just started. We probably talked in October, and I think he just started working with you. And we talked about how you were like, okay, buddy, I'm making $1 million now. This is what we said. You would come on over now. And so we're not like when you had just had to like jet away from your Bali trip because of his work or whatever. And you were like, this is not what we were creating,
Yeah. So actually, it might have been a little while ago, but Mark quit his job like a year and a half ago or so now, but he didn't work with me originally. He worked for himself for a little bit doing freelance sports marketing, which is what he did before, but for himself. And he was working for lots of different clients, like big high-end clients and very little clients. And he was working for a sports high school near us and getting sponsorship for them, right? And he has gotten sponsorship for Manchester United. Like, he used to work for the biggest soccer club in the world. Yeah. And I remember he was like getting a commission of 10%, but most of the deals were like $750. And he was like, I'm not going to take commission on that. And we sat down with my accountant. My accountant said, Denise, your business is going great. And then said, Mark, have you ever considered like helping Denise in her business? And I just sat back and I thought, I can't get involved in this. I'm just going to say nothing. And Mark's like, never really thought about it, and then it came from our financial advisor. They said, Denise's business seems to be doing really well. Like, maybe you can both like work in that for a while. I was like, and I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. And so that's how it started, from other people telling him he should work in my business, not from me. It did not come from me. And it's been so good and so challenging in so many ways, because it's my baby, it's my business, it's my face on the business. Yeah. So he doesn't get very much recognition for it, because anything good that happens, I'm going to get the outward praise for it. So that's really tough. It's tough working out how to work together personality-wise. He did something a couple of months ago, and I said, if you were an employee, I literally would fire you over this. And he was like, no, you wouldn't. And I said, I actually literally would fire you over this. Yeah. Just to let you know, I'm really not happy. But then on the other side of it, I can't imagine him going to work for someone else and not him being available to our family anymore. And I know you get this so much being a military wife, and it was worse for you because he was just literally gone. Yeah. But I think even for all the fights and arguments and late nights sometimes and 10 p.m. at night where it's like, have you done the newsletter intro for tomorrow? I just want to go to sleep. I just think we've got freedom. We've got the freedom to choose, and we've got at least I know when we're working on stuff, we're working on it together. And this has been years and years and years in the making. We've been together since 2002. We've been talking about working together or having freedom since the day we got together. And it took us years, and it took me having a major tantrum of like, dude, I don't think we can, I think I might leave you if you continue to work for someone else, because this is not what I signed up for. So, it's going great. The only one of the downsides is that I don't give anyone my email address. Like, nobody can email me except for my assistant, Amber. But now Mark sends me freaking 20 emails a day of things that I need to approve or look at. And I'm like, I'm going to change my email address and not give it to you because this is out of control. But it's awesome. You know, Tuesday, our nanny had jury duty on Tuesday, funnily enough. And so I had interviews. He took the kids to the beach and they had a picnic, and they sent me a picture of like Willow naked on the beach because she threw all her clothes. And I just thought, that's so special. Yeah. And we work hard, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But it's for us. Everything we do is for us now. And it's so worth it. But I had to be the keeper of that flame. Mm-hmm. And I would be really resentful that he wasn't doing more to make that happen. Mm-hmm. That he wasn't asking his job for part-time, or he wasn't doing, you know, something on the side to make it happen. And I had to just slap myself and go, no, this is my job to make this happen. I am the keeper of this flame for our family. Mm. And I can do it. And so, you know, I made my business so it could do that, so it could retire my husband. Couldn't wait for him.
It's been really, and let's just give you a shout out, Mark, because let's give you some of that praise. We were just laughing right before we were just talking about it, because I was saying, like, witnessing it from this side, because Mark's stepping in to support the partnerships and all of that. And I'm like, he's doing such an amazing job. And I like vicariously feel so supported from just this side, because I'm like, dang, it must feel so good to know that whether it's your husband ultimately or you hire someone else, like, it must feel so good to have someone who is dedicated to that role. Like, that is #upgrade goals, because it must feel so good to have like a really smart, capable person who's very highly motivated, obviously. I just think it's so cool to witness that dynamic from this side too. I've been saying that, Jeremy, because we've been in our move phase, and I'm like, he's our defensive MVP right now, and I'm our offensive MVP, because there's pretty much, I mean, there's like nothing he can't do around the house building. Like, I can already see everyone around wants to be like, hey, Jeremy, can you help me with this? Hey, Jeremy. Like, now that Jeremy's back, I'm like, hang on a second. Let's set up an LLC for you. But he's like our defensive MVP, because he's taking care. It's like money in the bank for the stuff that he's doing around the house right now. And then there's me, who's going up to get the new stuff coming in. And so who knows how that's going to evolve over time. But I just think it's really fun to witness and inspiring to witness just how you guys are working this out together. And it's also just really entertaining too. Inspiring and entertaining.
It is, because it is challenging, and I'm totally happy to be so honest about that. The other day I was like, God, you type so loudly, you know, and like we're in opposite. I'm upstairs, he's downstairs, but sometimes he'll just like yell upstairs, and I'm just like, no, he's just barging into my office. I'm like, you have to knock to come. Like, I am the CEO of this company. You have to respect my position. But it's so awesome at the same time. And knowing that my team are great, and they really support me, and they support my goals. But I know that he supports my goals even more, because it's paying for our house that we're building. Mm-hmm. Like, he is super motivated because it's money in the bank for him. And but there's some really fun power dynamics that happen as well. But, you know, and we get paid the same. We both get paid exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And but I feel like now he feels like it's our money. Yeah. Whereas before he was like, oh, but this is your money. You did this. And now I'm like, no, we're both doing it now. But here's the thing for anyone whose husbands are working behind the scenes, or you want them to, or you want them to quit their job, you have to remember that they don't have the support that we do. You know, Nikki and I, we have been in communities for probably a decade, surrounding ourselves with women who are doing things like we're doing, or creating their own businesses, or doing something kind of a bit out of the norm. And they just get the snippets from us. But I remember when Mark, he did quit, and he was so full of fear. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Just like go and do some EFT. And he was like, I don't really know how to do EFT. But I was like, how can you not? I talk about it every day. Mm-hmm. But I didn't talk about it with him. He's not in the groups. Mm-hmm. Now he is. But that's why I think it takes him a lot longer to kind of get the possibilities, because they don't have the support. They don't see it. They don't have the role models. Wow. And so they get freaked out about it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, Jeremy, and this was another group that you and I are in together, but I was like, Jeremy, don't you need to like go to Lowe's or go to the grocery store? Or don't you have somebody that you need to meet for lunch? Because it's the opposite, where I'm so used to him being gone all the time that I'm like, I'm not used to you being here all the time, and I have a process of things I need to read or journal or talk to my friends, and you don't really understand it, but that's part of my process. That's how I get inspired to do my work, you know? So I'm not used to like having another grown-up in the house who's like, are you working? Like, did you do? I'm like, I've got this. Okay. Don't you have a friend to meet for lunch or something? You know, so like, it's just interesting to be on this other end of the coin. So I look forward
It is
to it.
sometimes too, Mark will say, I need your answer on XYZ. Like he'll try and get me to make decisions. And I'm like, but it hasn't unfolded yet. I don't know how I feel about it. I need to sit and consult with my energy. And he's just like, but I need an answer today. I'm like, but it doesn't work like that. Don't worry. The answer will come. Sometimes it comes the day before it's due. That's okay. And yeah, he's learning that too.
Well, let's make Mark happy and talk about some nitty gritty stuff that's going on. So at the time that we're recording this, so if you're watching this and it is, when are we right now? We're late July of 2017. There's some really exciting things going on that we're putting together for you. But the first point of contact is Denise's brand new workshop, which I was actually just listening to today, the videos and such, and they are brand new and you look fabulous. I have to say, I'm like, I used a Beyonce gif emoji because you just have this energy about you. And were these the videos you were recording at the house you were talking about earlier?
Yes, the house is, it's just so beautiful. And so I was like taking pictures, sending it to Mark. We need these floors. We need these tiles. But I think it was, just the energy of it is so different to things I've done before. It's called Reclaim Your Money Power. I was laughing to you, Mark, wanted to call it disappointed, disillusioned, and disempowered. And I'm like, you don't know how to market to women. That's not very motivating for women. Let's call it Reclaim Your Money Power. That's the first port of call. And I'm sure, beyond this launch, we'll have that up and available for people to go through as well. But it really talks about what's happening now, what mindset stuff you need to be working on right now in today's world, today's economy, to being a woman in business or being a woman talking about money. And, that's the first port of call. Go and check that out. And we are doing a live round of bootcamp, which starts 7th of August, 2017. We do this very rarely. We did one last year, but we hadn't done one for a couple of years after that. And you know what? In all transparency, I want to have more babies next year. So I don't know if we'll do a live round next year. That's just me being totally honest, calling for some more babies. Yeah. So the live round means that we do boot camp all together. Instead of just, coming in and doing it DIY, which totally works as well. It's the momentum of thousands of other women, the accountability of doing it all together, doing this money stuff together. You'll realize you're not alone. It doesn't matter what icky feelings you have about money. Someone in the group has felt it, experienced it just like you. And now is the time more than ever for us to deal with this stuff, to deal with our blocks so we can go forth and give ourselves permission to create the businesses in the way we want to. Mm-hmm. Give ourselves permission to create richness in our life in the ways that we want to. And of course, there's the monetary stuff of making some more money.
Right.
Simply, literally making some more money, which is something we help with as well.
I've just really been in the zone today since I've been like thinking through and prepping for this conversation and everything. And even just during our conversation, I'm realizing all of the little things like that when I think of you, like the fact that I had to go pee, but I was like just sitting here. I'm like, no, I'm just going to keep working. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get up and go to the bathroom. I need to go to the bathroom. Or little things like, again, looking at our floors and realizing it's okay. I can have things the way that I want. Or if something has a hole in it and it's like that, really, there's no reason for us to hold on to this. Let's let it go. Or even just decluttering. Like we're talking about, I have all of my clutter currently, at least it's contained to this part of my desk and not all the rest of the space. But I just am really excited, and I always love sharing you with my community and introducing you to those who may have not heard of you yet. Like anytime I meet someone who hasn't heard of you yet, I'm like, what? Well, let me just tell you. And then I'm like, here's the book, here's the this, because it's so refreshing. I think you were kind of my gateway. Like, again, money blocks, I was like, what? EFT, that's weird. I had a friend who had kind of taught me about it, and it just truly, in such a subtle incremental way has just made such a huge impact. I mean, even I remember you talking about the vacation thing. And so I'm like, we have a vacation I would really like to book for October. I'm like, well, then we need to just book it. We need to actually just put it on the calendar so that we can go and do that. Otherwise we won't, you know? So I just want to say thank you for doing what you've been doing and being one of the most consistent people I know. I'm like, batching goals. I'm just, like, I love that because you model that, like, you don't actually have to be consistent. Your business does, but you don't actually have to be, as long as you plan accordingly. So anyway, I love making this introduction. I'm definitely, especially, like I said, my money counts now more than it ever has before in my life. Tap, tap, tap. It's okay. No pressure. But I have a lot of my own stuff to work through. And that's why I'm really, really excited to go through this live round and to be able to hold space for those who are going to be going through it with us, but specifically through my crowd. So make sure that if you're watching this video, you look below for all the links specifically to the workshop, and then there will be a webinar. I'm going to be on vacation next week, and I'm going to be doing some Facebook Lives next week just to, again, share specifics around each of those nuggets and like my takeaways from going through the boot camp and just kind of being in your orbit for a while, for years now, because it's important work. And it's easy to just dismiss it and think like, no, I can do that later. But it's like, really, the sooner you get it in your system now, then you'll look back a year, 2 years, 3 years from now and be like, oh, look at me. It is those incremental upgrades that you make all along the way. And then you realize you're not actually settling anymore for something that really doesn't light you up. So,
and none of that stuff is scary, by the way, too. Yeah. I think some people think, oh my God, I'm going to do this mindset work and they're going to strip me naked and they're going to ask me to bear all my secrets. And it's like, it's really, yes, exactly. It's not, it's little shifts will make the biggest difference, but all those little shifts over time, that's what's going to create your strong foundation. And then you build up and build up. And I'm doing this work myself. You know, I've always got bigger goals that I'm working on. And, you know, I always realize it's the same stuff. I'm working on the same money blocks, and not to say, oh, you never get over them, but it's the same stuff in slightly different ways. It comes up at different levels. And being really honest, my one is you have to work hard to make money. Mm-hmm. And even though I make a ton of money, it's still there, and I still have to be mindful of it and work on it. Otherwise, you know, eventually I would derail myself as well. So you don't have to. It's easy. It can be easy. We'll show you how.
Like a spiral staircase. That's how I see it in my brain, where it's like you have your go-to, your old familiar money blocks, you know, and that's definitely one for me too. Like, it has to be hard to, and so it's like, maybe you're making now more, but you're getting back to that. We're like, oh, hey dude, right. I remember you. Oh, hey, like the little high five along the way up to the next
totally.
Up to the next level. So, well, thank you for sharing what you share, doing what you do, being who you are. I'm so excited to give you a squeeze in real life in just a few months now.
Necker Island. And you know what? He is such a role model of mine. He really encapsulates the flavor of what I want to put into my next book. You know, and I think we're going to learn so much about lifestyle from him, and it's going to be epic. So I can't wait. And I hope his wife is there too, because I'd love to pick her brain. And you know what, the other thing I'm looking forward to, I want to enjoy it for me and for us, and like, we're not going to be doing heaps of Facebook Lives from it, guys. We're not. We're going to enjoy it for ourselves. And that's what we want to role model for everybody. You know, when you do a walking meditation, you don't have to do a Facebook Live as well to make it for other people. You know, we're allowed to have things just for ourselves. And I think that's a good thing to end on, right?
Yes, that was huge. That was huge for me when I was even deciding if I was going to go. And I had to do the check to be like, wait, would I want to do this? Because Carrie, my friend Carrie Green's going to be my roomie in our romantic villa for 2. And I'm like, would I want to do this even if it was just me and Carrie and we didn't know anyone else going, even if no one ever knew that we went? So I haven't actually even talked about it much, because I'm like, I just, and that was a definite yes. I was like, yes, this is something that this human wants to experience in this lifetime. Like, I just want to go and see, like, the fact that he'll be there and we get to meet him is really cool. But to me, it's a bonus, because I'm seriously just looking forward to going and just being like, okay, Island, what do you have for me today? Like, what is the energy there? And so there is not a chance in Hades that without doing all of the money mindset work that I've done over the last few years of knowing you, there's just no way. So I do. I want to thank you for that, because that really is like, just by learning and putting into practice this stuff, like there's just no way I would have been in the position to be like, okay, I'm doing it, you know, and like,
okay, because it's not an inexpensive trick, let's face it. It's not like, I'm like, I was saying to someone, all I want to do is just get a photo with Richard Branson, just one. I'm like, that's an expensive photo, and I'm sure I'll get some other good stuff too.
We'll make sure that your babies are good to go.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'll link to her Oprah picture story so that you know what we're talking about.
Oh, yes, exactly. And I just want to thank you for being such an evangelist as well. You know, we're so grateful that we've got people who help us spread the word, because I've got my blocks in business too. And, you know, there's been times where I've been like, oh, I don't want to tell anyone about what I do. And that's the good and bad thing about Mark now, because Mark's like, oh, well, I'll just contact this person and they can be an affiliate. And I'm like, no, can't I just hide in my office? So thank you so much, because without, you know, beautiful partners like you, we wouldn't have been able to have the ripple effect that we've been able to have.
Well, my pleasure. So to you watching, who's getting to be part of this conversation, we would love for you to actually legit be part of the conversation and comment below, whether you're watching this on Facebook or a blog or wherever you found it, on YouTube or something. Just comment with what one of your favorite takeaways is. And then also, again, the link, it's probably going to be nikkieelledgebrown.com/money to the workshop. But then all of the other links, eventually when the cart is open and when there are bonuses at play, regardless of whether you're watching this now while it's happening or 2 months or 2 years from now, I promise I would not be talking about it or be an affiliate or partner with Denise if I didn't 100% believe in. And I've literally been partnering and sharing for years since I first read the book. We could probably go back and find my Facebook post, and I had like green glitter nail polish while I was reading Lucky, being like, okay, I'm going to work on my money mindset. But it's truly a game changer. So I wouldn't be telling you.
I just have to share one thing actually before we go. I just had a little knock on my door, and it was Mark, because I think he's scheduled some things in my calendar. He's like, I need you to make some videos. So I just heard him knock, because he's probably like, all right, it's time for you to make some videos. I'm like, dude, we're still talking. So yes, come and join us. We would love to have you there.
All right. Thanks, Denise. Have fun on the next call.
Bye.
Bye.